What is going on, everyone? Tis Miyanovich, and I welcome you to the main dojo, the place where we process the raw struggles of men in an unprecedented paradigm. There is something inside of you that wants you to be more than what you are. But there also may be something inside of you that wants you to go down. And for some of us, that means going down for good. So, remove your ego, drop your bullshit, become vulnerable, and step into the dojo, mate.
You got me thinking about this very interesting moment that happened to me last week when I was down in Coronado, hanging out with these Navy SEALs and special operators. So, I am a suicide prevention advocate. I've been involved in it for the past 10 years with the firearms industry and the mental health community. I work very closely with Mike Sodini, right? Who's a mutual friend of ours who you've had on the show. Actually, who's your first? Yeah, the Mike Sodini interview that you had with him was awesome. And so, a very positive part about the internet and social media has been about getting this message of suicide prevention, right, out to people who are either not open to it or have not thought about it and not realize that all of us have a role to play, right, in preventing suicide. And this is irrespective of whether you are a gun owner or not a gun owner, whether you are suffering from PTSD or not. This is about what can your community, and when I say community, like your world, right? Your parents, your friends, your family, your coworkers. What can everyone do, to prevent and reduce suicide? So the thing that happened last week, I'm sitting with all these like tier 1 operators, and is just like all of this the masculine energy was like at the max. We were having house party kind of thing. Everyone's drinking and whatnot. And this one SEAL, again, big dude, tattoos, beards, he was actively talking about his PTSD and how ketamine treatments have been amazing for him, right? And so that small conversation, and he was talking about, right, he knows a lot of other, right, like veterans who are going through similar treatments and how, they've been seeing content online, right, about how to treat, their, PTSD. And so, the fact that one, he was open to talking about his PTSD, and like I had never met this dude until last week, right? And there's lots of people at this party, but like that was great, right? Instead of the typical guy buries mental health and mental like illness kind of stuff, right? It's a fairly taboo topic, right? You don't want to be seen as weak or incapable. But the fact that the SEAL was just talking about ketamine treatments, and so and the fact that he was talking about doing essentially drugs, right? I mean, like there's still a big taboo around everything from marijuana, ketamine, magic mushrooms, to be used right in treating mental illnesses, and then the veteran community, right? This often like very anti-drug, right, in a lot of different parts. But hey, right, in these controlled environments, and especially, I mean, there's just been plenty of studies showing that, hey, right, a lot of drugs, right, that can do good on this point. So, without social media and without the internet, information like, right, where can I get ketamine treatments, near me for my PTSD? I mean, like, that there's a lot of moments like that too, that the internet can get you to a place, right, where you're feeling healthy. And I have a personal story on that point too. So I have been going through like chronic pain stuff for the past 5 years, and it's very complicated. It's the short version. It's a combination of heavy metal toxicity from all my like sport shooting days, like my lead and mercury levels from like past fillings, like my heavy metal levels were like, through the roof. Multiple tick bites, poison oak exposure. I got COVID a bunch of times. I got scabies. I got there's something else that happened, but all the steroids, all the antibiotics, like just sort of like nuked my immune system. When someone's in pain, a lot of people just like, you bury it, right? You just compartmentalize. You want to, present this, right? Project this image of strength. And for me, what I found is that there's a lot of people like me being open and talking about my chronic pain issues. Other people, right, are then, open to talking about their own chronic pain. And this is about like, how do we find solutions, right, for our pain instead of, being men and just like gritting down and bearing and sucking it up and pushing through the pain. Now, of course, sometimes, yes, that is exactly what you have to do, right? Because the other end of this is, you hit some sort of stumble in your life and then you just complain about it all the time, right? And you just need, sometimes you do just need to, suck it up and push through. But, chronic pain, like that's all, it's just a different bucket, right? There's no amount of sucking it up and like pushing through that's going to make me actually better. And and so I found the internet has been amazing in terms of helping me find different potential solutions. And the main one, and actually this is why I have to end our podcast a little early today. I have an appointment to get to where it's called nerve hydrodissection. And under ultrasound, they find where your nerves are compressed. And then they take a syringe, and it can be anything from saline all the way up to like stem cells and exosomes. And they inject the fluid around the nerve to basically remove the adhesions that are compressing the nerve. And this is going to be my third treatment. It's just been like totally game changing. And without the internet, I don't think I would have found this solution. So, this is all to say, right, with technology and the internet, like, yes, there's like really bad things and there are really like good things. And we just sort of, I think, need to like take it all, like be sort of as neutral as objective, right, as we can be. And but like finding other people that have been suffering from this like similar ailment has been very it's been very, very like positive development in my personal life. I'm happy.
Yeah, that's sort of the problem with the internet is that it's also fucking amazing. It's fucking amazing, and I know you because of it. We're doing this because of it. I still haven't met you in the real world yet. This is a positive thing, right? So it really is amazing. I personally just came off of 16 years of naturally and organically fighting against low testosterone and did everything that I could for it. But the realities of life and stress and hypercortisolemia, where you're dealing with stress so much that your body never gets a break from cortisol, and you try to do everything you can. You lift weights, you do cardio, you change your diet, you meditate, you do all of that stuff. You do the best that you can. You do supplements, you do vitamins. When you're in a new environment, which I'm in for myself, and there is a lot of stress, and I'm excellent at meditation, and I had years and years of training with the Tibetan Buddhists and fucking know how to do that stuff. Even with all of that stuff, sometimes it's just not enough. You need specialist stuff, or you need to really address it with hardcore shit. And so I finally went and researched TRT and got myself on TRT basically through the internet without having to like break the bank, because there are a lot of TRT factories out there, or doctors who charge a shit ton of money to just get something that you need, like a hormonal treatment. And I found the right match for me, and I was in deep shit, Chris. Like it was getting so bad. I couldn't even get out of bed hardly. My brain couldn't focus anymore. I was just out of that fight, that whole like there was part of me that was going, okay, fuck it, I'll deal with that later. Fuck it, I'll deal with it later. Although I was really dealing with it with diet and exercise, and I wasn't dealing with it. And I took it as far as I could until my body was like, well, fuck you then. We're going to shut down.
Yeah.
Right. And that shutdown for other people could be suicide. It could be starting to take fucking drugs the wrong way. It could be going outside of their relationship. It could be something terrible. But I hit the wall and was just like, fuck this. I think this is definitely testosterone, and I'm going to go get it tested. And I got everything tested, and it sure as fuck was testosterone. And I sure as fuck got on TRT. And 2 days, I swear to God, 2 days after I started injections, I was back. Like,
amazing.
Yeah. 90% of my brain operation, my body wanted to get up and do things. Now I'm still have like chronic fatigue from like dragging that cart with me for so long that I'm working on. But now my brain's back to 100% operation. And I'm telling you, Chris, I wouldn't have made it a year like that. Like maybe I wouldn't have committed suicide because I'm stubborn as fuck, but something else in my psyche would have broken. Something bad would have happened. And thank God the internet was there, and I had friends that had been on TRT and made the phone calls and did all of that stuff. And so I'm bringing us back around because you just sort of described something that you're going through. Men are sucking it up too much. Middle-aged men sucking it up too much. And in LGO, the reason why I started this podcast was we're losing people, man. Like people are dying. Too many dudes in my own development group out of just 30 dudes in the past 5 years. Too many deaths.
Wow.
Too many conversations with my dudes. These are dudes who know about Mike, who know about Walk the Talk. They know we do that, and it still doesn't stop them. And too many conversations with guys that have suicidal ideation going on. And why do they have it going on? Because they're dragging that sled and they just go, fuck it, I'll just suck it up. And they've got brothers around them and they don't even say anything to their brothers. They just keep pulling the sled. It's so ingrained in us, man, to ignore it, to ignore the pain, to not ask for help. And even though these dudes knew and know that we're connected to help, they still won't do it. So again, this is why the podcast, I was like, well, I'm going to just start screaming it from the rooftops then if you fuckers aren't going to listen to me, you know?
Yeah. And, for me, I see a lot of parallels between, what you're describing and my firearms advocacy and LGBT advocacy, where back to sort of like Second Amendment stuff and gun stuff, the more we can normalize certain conversations, right? Like people of color owning firearms and gay people, right, having CCWs, right? The more easy it is for people to do the thing. And so when it comes to mental health conversations with guys, right, the more that we actually walk the talk, right, and like we're doing right now, right, like talking about like our personal like mental health struggles or physical health struggles. My levels were like super low at like 320. And I suspected for the longest time that there was something was happening to my energy levels, like similar to exactly what you were saying. Like I would just like go days of just sort of massive fatigue. I mean, I would drag myself out of bed, right? And drag myself to work. And sometimes it was like fake it till I make it, come home exhausted, rinse and repeat. But yeah, ultimately, hey, if there's a hormone or micronutrient deficiency, right? It's like, hey, like that stuff's easy, like that's like pretty easy to fix. But the first step was acknowledging to myself that something's wrong, right? That's and each of us, we're the best. We're often the best person to realize that something's just off. But sometimes, hey, it's your spouse or significant other. Maybe it's a friend who's like, hey, right, Randy, like Chris, like, is everything okay? Like you just sort of seem a little off. So sometimes, right, like you need to like kind of read the room a little bit, right? Are you getting inbound questions like that? But it ultimately comes down to acknowledging that, hey, like there's something wrong with me. Like I am just like not my normal self. And then having, I I don't want to say the courage, because that's sort of the wrong word, but it's more like you need to have the curiosity. Like for me, it's about the curiosity about like, what is wrong with me and what is the solution? And for me, I'm a very problem solution oriented person. So that mindset suits me very well. It's like, oh, there's a problem. Like I'm going to go fix it. And that's exactly how I treat my own mental health or my own physical, health stuff. And I'm happy to say that I'm feeling much better after 5 years, but it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle, mostly just because I haven't been able to find exactly what was wrong with me until recently, which is basically this like long COVID symptoms combined with nerve compression. And it's this nerve compression that is just like, I don't want to like be the thinks every nail is like nerve compression, but it's a pretty wild and simple. It's a very simple low risk treatment. But yeah, guys don't talk enough about what's actually hurting, right? Because it can be very hard. It can be very scary, right, to admit that I'm not 100%, and to not know why, and to be vulnerable, right, in that kind of way. But I don't know. I think for guys, I don't know, get over it.
Yeah, it's like I wish it were that easy.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much like, hey guys, like if you are like hesitant, like talking about this stuff with your other like guy friends, so it's like get over your fears. But no, but more respectfully, it's sort of, I think, just the most simple thought of like, don't you wish that you were your best self again? Right? If you are suffering from some kind of illness, whether it's mental health or physical health, or you're just feeling off, like, wouldn't you want to get back to 100%? And assuming the answer is yes, like, go talk to people. Like, don't be shy about mentioning low testosterone, or I don't know, yeah, maybe you have PTSD, or maybe you, I don't know, have some other thing going on. Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. Whatever thing that you might be going through, like your real, I would say, right, your real friends, and if assuming you have a great family, right, like they will be there for you, right, if to help and support you through whatever you're going through. And if you don't have anybody that you can trust, I mean, there's always the internet too, which is sometimes a good part.
Yeah. I do think you brought up testing your blood for lead and other metals because of shooting. That's one of the first things that I did was get my lead test. And I was surprised to see that my lead test was actually good, because I had thought that I just had way too much exposure. And I think that is something in the shooting community we do not fucking talk about enough. I think it needs to be standard practice, especially because we have so many other, I say, there's like a dynamic that lends itself towards maleness, masculinity, not asking for help, depression, suicidal ideation. Because of that stuff, I think it needs to be standard practice. People should be getting their lead levels tested, their mercury tested. They need to be checking that out. I think it's more of a problem than we know.
Yeah, I agree. And, one thing that I learned in my experience was, I suspected something was wrong around 10 years ago. And for me, that was at the year 3 mark of being a pro shooter with Bass Pro Shops, right? So I was shooting anywhere between maybe 25,000 rounds a year, right? Spread out between, 9mm, 5.56 and 12 gauge. And I sensed something was off. I'm like, okay, like I'm like very careful when I'm at the range, right? And I'm not like handling, lead ammo and then eating Cheetos and then like licking, the Cheeto lead, dust off my fingers. Like, I wash my hands, right? Like, I'm not rubbing my eyes. I'm not picking my nose. I'm not keeping my hands away from my mouth while I'm shooting. But so the point is, I got my blood tested and my lead levels came out normal, like within normal, like acceptable range. But when I got retested about 4 years ago, my he was an osteopath. My osteopath told me, hey, the blood test is not the gold standard. And the blood test is what will often get covered by insurance, right? So if you just go to your general practitioner, like they're probably just going to give you a blood test, like LabCorp or Quest Labs or whatever. Now the gold standard apparently is you get an IV chelation, right? So you get hooked up to a bag of saline and some chelating that pull out the heavy metals, right, from deep in your bones and your muscles and your organs. And then you need to pee into a little tub for 6 hours. And so that's how your lead level, your heavy metal levels can be accurately measured a lot of the times. It just depends on how deep these heavy metals, right, have gotten into your system. Because if you are a long time sufferer and have these heavy metals that are like literally embedded into the deepest parts of your body, like a simple blood test may not show it. And so the chelation approach, that's where it's like, oh yeah, like it doesn't matter how long or short of a time you've been exposed to heavy metals, like you'll then get a much more accurate result. So my mercury, lead, aluminum, tin, just like through the roof, like off the scales, like times like 4, 5, right? It was just really, really bad. I think gun people, anyone who's shooting with regular frequency should definitely, be getting your lead checked, right? I mean, if you're only going once a month or less, right, you don't need to worry about this problem. Most likely you don't. But yeah, if you're shooting multiple times a month, one thing I learned specifically for me was AR-15, right? The AR-15. Talking to my gun friends, we think that was the primary weapons platform. That was the lead vector, right? So, I was primarily shooting pistol, but then there's a lot of shotgun. But the point is the chambers are farther away from your face, right? But now the AR-15, right? Sure, the chamber's kind of away from your face, but it's the gap between the charging handle, right? That is often where a lot of the gases, they're literally blowing into your nose. I mean, like quite literally. And, of course, I'm not wearing a mask, right? Like when I'm shooting. So these lead gases from the primer, right? From mostly from the primer, right? Is just like blowing straight into my nose. I was shooting suppressed a bit too. And like when you shoot suppressed, you've got even more gas, right? Blowing back, into your face, on an AR, style platform. So I've moved to, Centerfire, which is an ammunition company that has frangible rounds, right? So it's no lead bullets and then no lead-free primers, right? So completely lead-free rounds. And yeah, that's just like one way that I'm like trying to reduce, my lead exposure. But yeah, I just want to like mention that because I hadn't really heard about the AR-15 charging handle for lead exposure, and it makes sense. It doesn't matter whether you're shooting indoors or outdoors, because that's often a big question, right? If you're shooting outdoors, you have less of a worry, right, of getting lead exposure. But yeah, man, if these gases are if the lead's constantly blowing into your nose and your mouth, well, duh.
Right. You did you have to do additional chelation therapy then? Once you discovered that your levels were like crazy, did you just go back for chelation over and over again?
I've done about 40 to 45 chelation sessions over the past 3 years. Very expensive, super time consuming. These are like sometimes 2 hour, sometimes 3 hour, sessions where you're just sitting in a chair with an IV bag, hooked up to you. And, you can do work, you can have your laptop and stuff or your phone, but, extremely, time consuming. This was all out of pocket too, right? It just wasn't covered, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy, right? That we have this, because like the mainstream medical establishment some of them do not believe in heavy metal toxicity. Like I went to a cardiologist, right? Because I'm literally checking off all these boxes. I'm going to go see a GI specialist because I was having, IBS stuff. I'm going to go see a cardiologist because I was having, and a pulmonologist because I was having like kind of, chest breathing issues. Went to a neurologist, went to this and that. And this cardiologist that I went to, I mentioned that I was having heavy metal, toxicity, chelation treatment. And he was this old, crusty dude. And he literally looks at me and he goes, well, I hope you're enjoying wasting your money because heavy metal toxicity isn't a thing. And I was like, excuse me? Like, that's just like an inappropriate comment for a doctor to be making to a patient. And like, you should just stay in your lane also.
Yeah.
Like, I have all the test results. Like, yeah. But the point is, a lot of the Western, medical establishment, like, just don't believe in a lot of the stuff, which is really unfortunate, because then as a patient who's going through chronic pain, you are at high risk of getting gaslit, right? Which sucks. It sucks so bad, right? It's like, you get to the point where I'm going to try and figure out, like, how do I resolve my chronic pain? And then you go to a medical provider and they say, there's nothing wrong with you.
Sure.
Have some antidepressants. That's literally that was like the end of the rainbow. We think you're depressed. Take some drugs for your depression. I'm like, fuck you. I literally was like, fuck you. Like, that is not, like, my core problem is not depression. Of course, like, I'm like, yeah, like, these symptoms suck, but antidepressant drugs are not going to make me feel any better. So yeah, it can be really tough, right? To like figure out what your pain and what your issues are. But I'm stubborn. I'm super stubborn. I just ignore the gaslighters. Also, my husband, he also tried to gaslight me. Still, just even a few nights ago, he's like, Chris, are you sure, this pain isn't all just like imagined? Because you're just complaining about it all the time. I was like, we've been married for 10 years now. We've been together for like 16, and you still haven't learned that, like, if I'm like, this is not, why would I be complaining about something that doesn't exist? Like, that is just the most illogical thing. But the point is, yeah, man. I mean, I've been gaslit by medical professionals, by my spouse.
Well, it's good that you have the fucking balls to stand up to your spouse, because a lot of people don't. They just fold. And it's good that you guys also have that kind of strength in a relationship where you can be like, no, I don't fucking agree with you, and then it keeps going and doesn't break up. That that's also a good thing. And I think
I'm happy to say we are celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversary.
Good for you guys.
This year, so
good for you guys.
Yeah, things are good.
Because I have a friend who's deceased, gay friend, and he used to say, "It's two guys." Like, all the time, he would be like, "What do you expect?" Like, we would talk about like tension in the relationship, or arguing, and the potential of it being different from heterosexual relationships. And he always used to say that all the time. He'd be like, dude, it's fucking two guys. Like, it's two fucking guys. So I know what it's like. I wouldn't want to be constantly butting heads with another dude all the time. So you guys must be saints or something. But I'm glad you're together.
We're both very strong-willed individuals, and they're like two bulls in the china shop sometimes. Like, I joke that, man, it would be amazing if we had like a reality TV filming crew that just like, but the thing about gay relationships is they're often just like any other, just like straight relationships. Right? We argue and bicker about a lot of the same stuff. What are we doing for dinner tonight? And you've left the dishes out again. The house is dirty. Like, I need you to pick up your crap. Hey, you forgot to walk the dogs, or hey, you forgot this thing at the grocery store. It's just like, it's often a lot of the same dynamics. So not too different from straight people relationships.
What is going on, everyone? Tis Miyanovich, and I welcome you to the main dojo, the place where we process the raw struggles of men in an unprecedented paradigm. There is something inside of you that wants you to be more than what you are. But there also may be something inside of you that wants you to go down. And for some of us, that means going down for good. So, remove your ego, Drop your bullshit, become vulnerable, and step into the dojo, mate.